Seekers come together, searching for the way, guided by the Spirit shining every day. Voices call from Zion, beckoning the pure, gathering the faithful where the truth is sure. Follow the Spirit, follow the light, follow the truth. Don't lose your way, don't lose your way. Follow the Spirit, follow the light, follow the light, follow the truth. It shines today.
Welcome in day 14 of our companionship study. David and I are here studying the words of Isaiah, and we are on chapter 14, which this is the Lucifer chapter. And I was going through my notes, and they are not very, I don't have a lot of notes on this particular chapter. So this is going to be a lot of reading, and we hope that those watching companionship study can post in the comments and help us with an understanding. But yeah, I really don't have a ton of stuff on this particular chapter for whatever reason. But we'll do our best as the Holy Ghost helps us navigate through this chapter. David, your turn to read. So let's get through it.
Chapter 14. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the Lord and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord, for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
Okay, so I do have something in verse 1 where it talks about strangers, how they'll be joined with them. We talk about this when we talk about the tribes of Israel. You're either a part of the tribes of Israel or you're adopted in. And those strangers get adopted into the tribe of Israel, to the house of Jacob. And so I do have that. That's a reference of adoption. And some of us are adopted in, and some of us are of that house through actual bloodline and lineage. Okay, verse 3. Any questions there, David?
No, I can see what you're talking about. I am also considering strangers. Like, there's already people who are not members in Zion, like they live within the boundaries of Zion essentially, but they're not members. But it says that they'll be joined. So anybody that's pretty much here, either they're going to move out or they're going to stay and join at some point, which gives me the indication that things are going to get pretty good here.
Yeah.
That would make sense for them to join. Verse 3, and it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve.
Okay, so what day are we talking about right here? What day is it referencing?
Well, it says in the day this time, but it is the last days.
But it's in the day. And in this day, it's talking about a peaceful, we've been talking about some
Millennium,
pretty crazy
maybe?
things. Yeah, millennium time period, definitely.
Yeah.
When we'll be free from sorrow, and we'll have rest, and the hard bondage and the labor that we've been doing isn't going to be the case during this day.
Yeah, so then I guess that does say that maybe everything we're about to read after is about the millennium.
Yeah, so let's keep that in mind as we read.
Okay, verse 4, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. Yeah, now I could see it's about Satan, the king of Babylon. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked, and the scepter of the rulers.
Okay, so
He
the Lord basically, um, whoever has been in charge, a lot of people speculate, they talk about the elites or the this or the that, they've been in charge. Well, it's apparent that their staff, their power, a staff represents power, is broken by the Lord. And so we are no longer oppressed by these people that are led by the adversary.
when I see Golden City here too, I'm also thinking about Las Vegas. I always thought it was interesting how you have Utah, the tops of the mountains, with the house of the Lord on the top of the mountains, and you have a golden city. Everybody calls Las Vegas the Golden City, but it's not just Las Vegas. We know that, there's a lot more going on,
Well,
and it's in
they call it Sin City, so that
yeah.
a lot of Babylon is in Las Vegas for sure.
The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter. Yeah, we read that. Verse 6. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger and persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing.
Oh, amen.
It,
Can we get to that day?
yeah, please. Yeah, I'm just thinking that it's going to be really wonderful. I didn't read 8. Um,
Okay.
Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, Since thou art laid down, no feller is to come up against us. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, Art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. Any thoughts up until now?
No, we're going to get into some stuff though here, verse 12.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like to me that there seems to be a domain here, something interesting. Uh, how are How art thou fallen? Verse 12. From heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning, art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. And
Okay, so here's
they,
an interesting thought. As I read this, I say to myself, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds and I will be like the Most High. Now, what's interesting about that is, isn't that the goal?
yes,
So,
absolutely.
so, so what? And it says, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Okay. So what we're learning is that if you want to be like the Most High, guess where you have to get brought down to? To hell. And maybe that's exactly where we are all at right now. And maybe that's part of the process. I don't know. It sounds like it's part of the process. I think that the challenge is he wanted to exalt himself above God or above Jehovah. And so there was something, and I don't know exactly what happened there, but there was something that he did, and maybe it was one of those situations where it was my will, not thine be done, when it should have been thy will, not mine be done. And maybe it's a good example for all of us down here. How many of us are doing our will and not the will of the Father for us? And so we have to remember that we're down here to do the Father's will. even if it means that sometimes we don't want to go through some things. I am convinced that the 5 years I spent in prison was the Father's will for me. He knew the impact it would have on my life, and it was a hard thing to submit to 5 years when you have your attorney saying, hey, you can beat this. Hey, you can get out of this. And to submit to the Father's will can be a very, very hard thing to do. Even the Savior himself didn't want to go through Gethsemane and the crucifixion and all. He's like, hey, if this bitter cup can pass for me, like, please, I don't want to go through this. But then he leaves it with, not my will, but thine be done. So he goes back to the Father and he submits. And maybe that was the mistake of Lucifer here, is the unwillingness to submit to the will of the Father. Okay.
Okay.
16.
We are at 16. Thank you. Let me make sure I'm lined up. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble? What did that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners?
Okay,
All the
that's
kings,
interesting. They're talking about Satan, and they're talking about, hey, isn't this guy that has done all these things, and is this not the same guy that didn't open the house of his prisoners? So he's keeping people captive when we're talking about him. He's holding people hostage. He's not allowing the people that followed him to leave the house. He's acting more like a dictator, it sounds like to me. Okay, keep going. 18.
all, all the kings of the nations, even all of them lie in glory, every one in his house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through the sword, that thou go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. And thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land, and slain thy people. The seed of the evildoers shall never be renowned.
Okay, so it talks about seed of evildoers as we're talking about Satan. And it's basically saying, ultimately, the seed of the evildoers will never, they may be exalted in the ways of the world, they may become kings of Babylon, but at the end of the day, they will never be renowned.
Yeah, that's a good
And
point.
then this gets interesting, right? Verse 21. It's going to talk, we know we're talking about Lucifer here, so let's pay attention to 21.
20. Thou shalt not be joined. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, 21. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the
Whose
iniquity of
children?
Satan's children,
Oh, okay. So he's got children. At least that's what Isaiah says.
that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities.
Okay. So those that choose to follow Satan will not rise. And when will they not rise? In this millennial time period.
Yeah,
They won't possess the land. They will be in some place paying for whatever it is that they did by not choosing to follow Christ and take advantage of the atonement.
yeah, that sounds like people who have secret combinations and that are in the dark, chambers and making sacrifices, making giving their lives to fame and rich, yeah,
Totally.
and no smart cities, no no cloud seeding, no any of this kind of stuff that we're seeing from some interesting forms that are around the world.
Totally.
Um, okay, for I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name, and remnant, and son and nephew, saith the Lord. I will also make a possession for them, or a possession for the bittern and pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith the Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts hath sworn, saying, Surely as I've thought, so shall it come to pass. And as I have purposed, so shall it stand. That
Okay,
I
so
will
I
break.
love how he says that. Surely as I have thought, this tells you the power of thought, so shall it come to pass. And if you just take that statement right there, there's a lot in there. What is it that we think about? Do we think about worry, doubt, fear, all of those things? Or do we think about love, peace, harmony, success, happiness, right? Surely as
Yeah, the
we
latter.
think, so shall it be. And so measuring and monitoring our thoughts is really, really important. And clearly that's what the Lord does. He's like, if I think it, so it is. So, okay.
Verse 25. That I will break the Assyrian in my land, and upon my mountains tread him under foot. Then shall his yoke depart from off them, and his burden depart from off their shoulders. This is the purpose that is purposed upon the whole earth, and this is the hand that is stretched out upon all nations. For the Lord of hosts hath purposed, and who shall disannul it? And his hand is stretched out, and who shall turn it back?
Okay, so he's basically saying, this is the purpose. This is the plan. Nobody can stop this. My hand is stretched out. There's nobody that can stop this from happening, not even Lucifer. This is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to be. Okay.
In the year that King Ahaz died was this burden. Rejoice that not thou, whole Palestina, because that the rod of him that smote thee is broken. For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a flying serpent. And the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy shall lie down in safety. And I will kill thy root with famine, and he shall slay thy remnant. Who do you think that thy remnant is?
The remnant of Satan.
Yeah, I just wanted to, because earlier it says it's talking about seed, and then it's talking about children, and now we're talking about remnant. So whatever's
Yeah, and
left out.
it is clear in Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, that Satan has seed. How that works, what that is, I don't know. But he clearly has seed. He clearly has children. He clearly has people that followed him. He clearly has procreative powers. And if you read the book of Enoch, the 200 sons of God came down and they were able to procreate. So I would guess that through Satan's, and the temple will teaches that Satan has powers and priesthoods. So if he has powers and priesthoods, he probably has the ability, he has seed. We know he has seed. And so he has the ability to procreate. And the Lord is basically saying, I'm going to wipe out your seed. I think he tried to do that with the flood. That was part of what he was attempting to do. But now he's saying this time it's your seed's going to no longer be here. And even those who have the seed of Satan in them, and I don't know who that is or how that works, the atonement stamps that out. The atonement crushes that seed's head, because all of us also have the light of Christ in us. Even those who are the seed of Satan have the light of Christ. He is the creator of all things. He's in all things and through all things. And so he's in all people. And each of us have that Christ DNA in us. And so we have to move towards that kind of DNA and crush the head of the seed of the natural man, as we would put it, stomp the head of the natural man and move towards Christ.
Howl, O gate, cry, O city, thou whole Palestina art dissolved, for there shall come from the north a smoke, and none shall be alone in his appointed times.
Oh, okay. So there we get smoke from the north. Okay, okay. We've been talking about these people from the North Country showing up in this day. So the smoke from the north is going to come, and you know, there's something going on in the North Country that we don't know about. But I do know this: when we say things go bad, we say they go south. And we know that, north is like the North Star, right? So north seems to be good, south seems to be bad. So if you look at the Antarctica as the South Pole, maybe there's some weird stuff going on in the South Pole that we don't know about, and the good stuff's going on in the North Pole. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah, I was going to say something about that. I think that's really interesting. Verse 32. What shall one then answer the messengers of the nation, that the Lord hath founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it?
Okay, cool. Yeah, and maybe those are the messengers of the nation. Maybe those are the messengers of the north. And the north comes out because we finally figured out how to create and found Zion. Zion has been founded. And so we've got to figure out one, in order to create Zion, and we've talked about this, it starts from within. You've got to create Zion from within. You've got to treat your temple, your body as a temple, and treat your body as in Zion. Also, your thoughts have to be Zion in thinking. So let virtue garnish thy thoughts unceasingly, and then shall your confidence wax strong in the presence of God. So we've got to figure out how to create Zion in ourselves, then in our family. And once we can do that, then we have an opportunity to create Zion outside of that and build a community that really lives the law of consecration. One of the hard things for me is I covenant to live the law of consecration. I've made that covenant. I want to live the law of consecration, but we aren't currently living the law of consecration as the law of consecration is understood. So we got to figure out how to honor and live that covenant as a people. And we should be striving to figure out exactly how to do that. And part of how we do that is, honestly, we got to honor people in their own path. We got to quit tearing people down. We've got to honor people that have made good, righteous decisions, even if, the way that they made those good, righteous decisions. I mean, I was talking to a guy the other day that was baptized, but he wasn't baptized in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I honored the fact that he had made that decision to get baptized. In whatever fashion you choose to get baptized, we need to honor that. We shouldn't be like, well, that doesn't count because they didn't have the right authority or because it wasn't done in the right way. That's not how you become a Zion people, by tearing other people down for their beliefs.
Yeah,
You honor them in their path, and you build trust with them. And if they at some point feel like they need to be baptized into the Mormon church and in the Mormon way, that's awesome too. And it's their job to come to that conclusion on their own through the Holy Ghost prompting them to do that. It's not our job to tear them down and make them feel small when they made this decision to get baptized. So I look forward to the day. I mean, our channel is called Zion. I own a variety of different companies like Zion Supplements, where my mission, my goal is to figure out how we create Zion. I know there are people's patriarchal blessings that says they will participate in the United Order. I have a family member who says that she will participate in the United Order. That's Zion. That's what the United Order is living the law of consecration. And so I believe that that's what our patriarchal blessing says. So we got to do everything that we can in order to create that type of community, that type of environment. But it starts with us first, creating Zion within us. Any final thoughts on that chapter?
No, I mean, I think that it's one that I've recognized myself, that, basically we will probably look at Satan and be like, whoa, I can't believe this guy did all this stuff. But it goes more into depth, realizing that everything is going to be stamped out in the millennium, and
Totally.
it's just going to be us. So
Yeah.
it's kind of remarkable.
Yeah. So, anyways, it's an interesting chapter. Satan's referred to as the son of the morning, but Christ is referred to as the morning star. And that's an interesting thing that I think we need to take a harder look at. I am less inclined to believe the narrative that Lucifer is the brother to Jesus. I am more inclined to believe the idea that Lucifer is the son of Jehovah. I'm more inclined to believe that he is the oldest son of Jehovah. I'm even more inclined to believe that there's a type that happens where you got Abraham, who has a son named Ishmael, and he has a son named Isaac, and that's a type for something. And so I have a hard time believing that Lucifer is Jehovah's or Jesus's brother. I don't know where that is. If somebody can show me in scripture where that is the truth and not what somebody said one time in church history, and so that's become the narrative, as I've prayed about that and looked for personal revelation for me, I've come to the conclusion that I don't believe that Lucifer and Jesus are brothers. I actually believe that Jehovah is the father of Lucifer. Now, I have some scriptural basis for that. That's a discussion for another day. But I believe that's found in the book of Genesis. So, okay.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to go through that when the time comes.
Yeah. So for myself, I'm Shane Baldwin. For my partner, David the Lion Leo Douglas. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow for day 15, chapter 15, Companionship Study, day 15. Take care.
Okay. So that is
Hey,
content.
are you going to talk about the Tesla we're giving away, or is that
Yeah.
in the future?
Yes. So this is real. Okay. What I'm about to announce is real. It's kind of tongue in cheek. It's kind of a little bit being funny, but it's real. Okay. So Zion Media is giving away a used 3-year-old or less Tesla Model 3. Okay. You heard us right. We're giving away a Tesla Model 3 for any of our listeners that can connect us to one of the following people: John the Beloved, the Davidic servant, or any of the 3 Nephites. All right, I'm glad you laughed, Lance. We're sort of joking, but we're serious. Like, come on, like, if they're out there, we want to meet them. Part of us, creating Zion Media is, in preparation for the end times. And we know these guys are out there. We know these guys are coming, and we want to meet them.
So Trevor, what if somebody said, listen, I'm the Davidic servant?
I was thinking right there.
That's what we're hoping for. That is exactly what we're hoping for, because we're going to have at least one podcast where we bring on people who claim to be the Davidic servant. And we've already been in contact with a couple of them. We have a girl Davidic servant. We've got 2 boy Davidic servants.
What qualifies the winning? They have to prove it somehow to us. We have to actually be convinced.
I have a paper. I've sent it to you, Lance. It's a significant paper. And if they can check all the boxes, I mean, listen, this goes down to they got to be born at a certain time period. This is like they would have to check all the boxes, fulfill all the Isaiah prophecies in order for us to prove that they indeed are the Davidic servant.
Something tells me if they really are, they're not going to be motivated by money or a Tesla.
No. It's not. We're not giving it to the Davidic servant. We're giving it to the person that connects us.
This has got to be like a friend
or one you need.
We're trying to convince them to betray their connection to.
No, they'll get permission.
There
They'll
we go.
get permission. They will see the mission of Zion Media. They will connect us. And here's the deal: we don't even have to go public and announce who these people are. We can give this car away and say, "Hey, good news, everyone! We found the Davidic servant. We gave away the Tesla." So it's kind of a little bit of a joke, but at the same time, it's not a joke. Like we'd be willing to give away a heck of a lot more than a Tesla Model 3 if you can connect us to one of these 3 people.
5 people.
The biggest part about this is it's not just checking the boxes. Like we need to get a spiritual confirmation that
That's
this
true.
person is actually legit and true. So those are the contests. We're going to be rolling out promos. You'll see videos, $1,000 and a Tesla from Zion Media.
Listen, here's the thing. I met with Lance Weaver and his wife just a few days ago, took him to lunch. He's like, Shane, we need to go to Monte Alban. You need to get Trevor. Trevor needs to find him a date. So if you're available and you're interested in maybe going to Monte Alban, send a picture and a screenshot of your best picture to Trevor. He's looking through to decide he's single and available. So he's got to take a date. And he said, grab David and his wife. And I just said, you know what? David probably isn't in a financial position to go. So for those of you who want to help David Douglas and his wife go to Monte Alban and go to Mexico, you can donate. David's going to flash up his personal Cash App. And you can help David go to Monte Alban. We're going to record it, so you'll get some great content from it. Monte Alban.
David's going to get money and I'm going to get women?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's what we do here at Zion Media.
And
Money
our
and women.
viewers are going to get a video out of it.
And our viewers get a video out of this. Monte Alban, if you don't know, is a mountain that has been cut off at the top. And it is believed by Lance and actually by me that that is the temple Nephi built. And we're going to go to that site. It's in, what's it by? Awaxa? Awaxa? I don't know. But anyways, help David Douglas. My guess is it's going to cost somewhere between $4,000 to $5,000 for him and his wife. So help us raise some money from now. We're planning a trip in November. Help us raise some money to get David Douglas, because we need somebody to be behind the camera, on the camera, recording things, and
nothing will be filmed if
you and I go, there will be nothing filmed, and we'll talk about it. But you want to see this thing? It's incredible. This mountain and this temple site, remnants on the
It
mountain.
looks like aliens cut off the top of the mountain.
It does.
Who has that?
It does. So, David Douglas's Cash App, there it is. He's already put it on there. Let's see, all you Zion Media family, please help us out. Let's get him to be able to come on with us to Monte Alban. Maybe Mike Rigby, maybe you should come with us too, man.
well,
That'd be fun.
we shall see. That's fine.
A world to win, nothing withheld, our purpose clear. Together in Zion, we rise without fear.